agents. We want to just focus on people, right? But I'll implore you to take this a little bit more serious. No, you're good. So what we're talking about is the economic model today, right? Which is a backbone for running a real estate business. That most people do not run real estate businesses. Their businesses run them, okay? And so what we want to do, the analogy that we made is pretend that you're hiring yourself to be the CEO of your real estate business, and you're going to pay 150 grand, 200 grand, whatever you want to make this year, and start thinking about that as how you run your real estate business. To buy or sell today, right? And that's just how most agents run their business, okay? So what we're going to talk about right now is model, okay? And we'll go into this in more detail, but this is going to break down exactly how many appointments you need to go on, right? How many closings you need to have. Most agents, they do know, like raise your hand if you know how many, this is a good time to, do you guys know how much money you want to make this year and next year? Like, have you guys given that much thought, or is this just more? So honestly, there's no right or wrong answer. Just curious, is there a number that you guys have in mind? Changes a lot. Okay, all right. Yeah, share it. Go ahead. 150.
Number, is that the number that you've already made? Because I asked her the same question last week and she gave me enough much.
Okay. Cool. All right. So there's a gap of 50. Cool. Cool.
That's a whole nother model. That's the budget model.
We have. We'll talk about that. Right now, we're going to talk about making money, though, which is good. Austin, Courtney, do you guys have a number that makes sense for you?
I think.
Yeah.
Do it. Why not?
Yeah. Heck yeah, Austin.
Well, I'm gonna pay for my living expense.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I was like, wow, high spender. Good. Good. Okay. So,
hey, wait, can I?
Yeah.
Different numbers. Well, Courtney and Austin came up with a different number, and that's okay because it something different and are going to utilize that money differently. And we're going to dive deeper into this behind the why.
Yeah.
But it should actually mean the better off you're going to be. The classic new agent thing is I want to make $100,000 in real estate, but that doesn't mean anything. Here is everyone is like, I'd love to own a boat. I don't want to own a boat. I want to have a really good friend that owns that I can rent a boat at the drop of a hat, but I don't want the maintenance of a boat. So mine, it's like, I'm anti $100,000 answer kind of an idea. So
yeah,
be different. Who cares?
Yeah. So the reason that, so if you look at the very bottom, net income, what do you want to take home? And that's what we're going to start with, right? Which I think is super important. That number, because then we can break down, okay, if I want to make this, how many closings is that? Okay, how many buyer consultations, how many seller put in, right? You get those numbers, and then it's really cool because when you get to the office, you can be very purposeful about, all right, what do I need to do today? Rather than just out of my voice that wants to sell, buy, or invest in real estate, it's who can I help intentionally because it's going to get me closer, or not because. Okay, so this is a really cool spreadsheet that I built that I'll share with you guys. Or we can just depending on what the flow is. But basically, I want you guys to go in, and I'll share this with you. Two other columns. I've got personal expense, I've got business expense, and I've got investment goals. Okay. What's really cool is it for your year. But the other thing that I have is I have in average sales price, average commission percentage, and I have a couple of these details and purposeful as to, okay, you're basically pre-spending your dollars for the year. All right. What are our fixed goals, dreams, and investment aspirations? And then that's going to spit out what? A transaction number. Okay. Than just, hey, I want to make 130 grand, or hey, I want to sell 20 houses. It kind of combines them both and gives you real insight of to why you cool? Okay. So if you guys want,
who has a budget right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Austin's on our nerd level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got Austin at least.
One. What prevents you guys from sitting down and doing it? I'm always curious. The inconsistency of income. Yeah. And that is the lifelong struggle of real estate agent, is that the income is not fixed, right? It varies month to month. Although sitting down and building this one based off of a monthly income, right? So if you have a great month, you aside for if you do have a slow month. So which when you inevitably do, you are prepared for that. Take home is trying to, solve for taxes as well, which I have on this spreadsheet. I think it's really important. So as well, if you want to pay tithing, you're welcome to. If not,
every finance book I've ever read says that you should donate money.
Yeah. So
10%.
Yeah.
Even the Bible, that's the only thing that the Bible has a blessing and a curse for.
Really?
But tithing
has both.
Yeah. You'll be burnt if you don't do it, and the heavens will shower gifts.
More deals.
I'd rather have gifts than be burnt. So
yeah. So yeah, if you guys want to get a copy of this, you can sit down on your own time. I'll just quickly just kind of show you. It's been a template, so hopefully it is really solid for you guys. But I'll just show you this quick. What it'll do is it'll bring you here and it'll let you make a copy. Go. Okay. So again, let me just kind of scroll through this. Again, personal expenses, business expenses, and then investment goals. You guys are welcome to come in here and tweak a few things. You'll notice I have a couple of things that are like yearly, right? Some yearly expenses, so board dues, right? But it'll equate to a monthly total, which is pretty convenient. So you know what your monthly, you'll notice that I already have in here a business expense or a cost of sales. That's something that we learned about in MREA. So that's that you'll be paying out. That's in there already for you. And then also you can come in here and write average sales price, average commission percentage. I'm going to show you, if you didn't already know, which you probably didn't, and there's a way that you can actually look at. KW has a rolling report of all of your transactions. This will be useful as you start picking up here at the brokerage. But I just want to show you really quick. You can go to mykw.kw.com, and there's this thing called your reports. So access reports, report, close transaction, and all. I can send you these slides. But what's really cool is once you get into the closed transaction, once you've closed, the reason then that's useful is one. So next year when you're planning, right, you're like, okay, I did 12, and how does that, if I did that, would that get me to where I want to be, or do I need to increase? Could I let off the gas and decrease? Is for setting goals for the now, right, which we'll do today a little bit. You're going to want to know where you already stand. Any thoughts, questions on any of that I just went over as far as setting a budget? Yeah, it's your command. It's your mykw.kw.com.
Before command, that's the only thing that we had was mykw.kw.com. Built 15 years ago because it probably was. Yeah. Yeah. There's not a mobile-friendly version of it.
Really cool just thing about command as well, now that we're talking about it. I'm actually carrying a... Cam, I'll let you.
Yeah, I wanted
Take a minute for a
to
second.
actually run through math. So we can look at some of the idea behind what you're gonna do. And then how I think of this. Do you know where it is?
I'm trying to remember where the how you can see your cap in real time. So I think that's an important thing.
Click on activity tracking.
No,
I don't know.
here, you keep talking.
Okay, let's guinea pig.
I'll be the guinea pig if you want it, unless you guys want it.
Okay, hon. Oh, we'll math together. And this is group learning. Okay, let's talk about 2025. Do you guys real estate speaking? Because the last day that you could put something under contract that would close this year is, and even that's kind of pushing it. You're probably like early November. November is 90. So real estate's on a 90-day cycle. Typically, your prospecting that you do today, you'll see results which might close next year. So we kind of need to start planning out next year because there's that kind of a lag. Good. Let's talk about that. How much money do you want to make next? 250. I'm making you go bigger. Now,
Oh, so if you set a small goal, you might achieve it. If you set a big goal, you might not achieve it, but you'll certainly achieve your small goal, right? I want to make $1 billion in real estate sales, right? Like I'm not saying that, but yeah, do set something that pushes you. So even if you don't achieve it, and if you like, here's the thing. Here's a real life example. If you know that in order to make, let's say you have to go on 10 appointments a month, okay? Well, what happens if you don't hit? You're going to work each week to only. You say I want to make 200 grand, and that's 20 appointments. Okay, now I'm working to go on 20 appointments. Well, guess what? That puts me in the variables, right? That might come up, and they inevitably will. So 100%. Yeah.
Woo! Is that like in your pocket 250 grand? Is that GCI? What are we looking?
Right. So
okay, so
you got to
add your cap.
Add your cap, add taxes. Well, yeah. So that's the other, the cost of sales and the cost of goods, right? And those numbers are important.
40%?
Yep.
So after cap and taxes.
I'm pretty sure the answer is yes to that one.
I thought 40% was tax. We're doing our tax wrong.
Not doing it wrong.
So on the spreadsheet, too, just real quick, you guys, when you go look into it, I have a tax bracket in there. So you should be number and then transaction account. Like the way I built this is so like you know that that's your take home.
So in the budget model that we will learn about in one of the future weeks, it 30-40. So 30% should go to cost of sale that are like your cap if you're on a team, kind of an idea. 30% should go to expenses, and then 40% should be profit. Should always profit 40%. That being said, when you are a solo agent, when you're on a team, your of sale is 50%. You are already past that 40. If you're all by yourself and solo, dollar cap, which is 30% of every closing. If you're not capped, so it's really 30%. So I would say 50% as a solo agent is totally common. Probably 40 agent is pretty common as well. If you are running a team, you're probably going to get like 20%.
A lot of glazed looks. You guys get it? Just know there's obviously a cost to do business. Okay. And that's what we're going to solve for. So if well, her GCI needs to be quite a bit more than 250, right? Sure. Yeah.
So let's
kind of go through it.
Let's just call it 350. 50,000 GCI. You're going to spend $100,000 in dues, marketing, sure,
like
whatever. We're gonna go real low.
I don't think I think that pretty drastic. I don't think that.
Yeah, you probably net 40% on the team,
at least. I think year-to-date GCI versus my actual pay, but I guess that doesn't equate for taxes yet.
Yeah.
But then also too, it's hard to strategic. You shouldn't be paying anything in taxes, right? Because you're investing in real estate, doing cost segregation, right? So that's why when most people teach this class, they actually ignore taxes completely, and they take that completely out of the equation because that's a very personal, and they'll just do cost of sale and they will do business expense because taxes is a separate conversation. So that's why I like it does get you to 250 just for the sake of the conversation.
So what's your average commission? So wait.
Yeah.
We're gonna call it 12,000 for easier.
12,000.
So you could look at your purchase price, or you just right to your pay, right? So how many transactions is that? We're gonna get real numbers here. 29.16. So we got to get 30. So we are at 30 closings. Well, let's work this backwards. If you close 30, what's the step up back? The funnel from closed would be under contract. We could go all the way and go under contract. This is how many people you're actually showing homes or really working with you, listed kind of a thing.
Pull up something here.
I'm actually just going to jump to appointment. So Gary is able to close 75% of your appointments. Wait. I skipped a step.
Yeah, while Cam is talking about this. So now that we actions, what's really cool is you can actually plug that right in command and it will tell you all of the metrics you need in order to do this. I'm going to go to this little reports category here. Reports. I can go to goals. Okay. Goal settings. Get started. And I'm going to solve here. Okay. So for 2025, what is your annual profit goal? All right.
So that's what we said.
Okay. And we'll say I have my cost of sales is, I think the way they would equate is just my cap of, let's just say I have
70,
what? 72?
No, wait, 82. Or 100 grand.
Yeah. I think that's really high. And let's sit down and really plan out those expenses because I've never spent
30%, right?
But yeah, but it's and just it's just numbers for now. Cost of sales is cap. Expenses would be marketing, mileage,
vacation.
That's what I'm saying. Like I've never spent more than
salaries,
a couple $1,000.
Technology.
Yeah, dues.
I just bought.
I have a list of like expenses on here that I use. Like I don't.
A good iPad.
it makes more sense if you're on a team, I think, when you would have those big of expenses. But even then, I don't know. For your sake, cost of
you
sales,
get $80,000 that you can spend and still pocket
250. Yeah. What I would actually probably encourage is to factor in taxes into an expense for this.
Get these numbers is most people judge it based off of someone's salary, right? I have a brother-in-law, W-2 employee. He makes, let's call it 180.
Yeah.
Right. If he makes 180, he doesn't get paid 180 because he has all the he goes. If I get 180,000 in GCI, I have all of these expenses that he has. Expenses. I pay for my phone. I pay for my car. I pay for my Netflix. That one's questionable. Apple Music. Like I pay for all of these things that I would personally, but they are business expenses, right? I business expense. If he bought an iPad, that's not a business expense. So our $180,000 are not created equally. Kind of gray.
Yeah. So
180 feels like a lot, but also cases that I wouldn't have. So
when KWRI teaches this class, they do not factor in tax. Okay, they just do cost of sales, which is probably just your cap, right? And then they do your business expenses, period. Okay. Well, that's not a true number. Like, let's solve for tax as we could. So just prefacing that.
Yes.
Sales, you would consider just like a team split or
yeah, a cost regardless. Yeah,
because of a sale,
because of a transaction.
You do not have a fee if you don't hire.
That's an expense instead of cost of sale.
Because if that listing doesn't sell, you still had to pay that. But like Jeanette charges $350, $400. I don't know what she charges. Only at closing. Then you pay.
Then expenses would be all those other things.
Yeah.
Marketing. I mean, so and like you're on Red Sec team.
Yeah.
Then whatever, 60, 40, 50,
50, yeah.
So you get a 50-50 split and most of your expenses, but not all.
Right? Yeah. I think
they're not going to pay for your dues. They're not going to pay for your.
They're like $5,000 a year in my business. Like,
yeah,
I don't think I spend much more than that.
How do you think that can?
Genuinely, I don't think that you should be spending more than $50,000 a year. Unless it's like you're getting a direct return, right? Like these are all like closing gifts on here too, I think. But anyway, I think that we're getting a little bit maybe too much into the numbers and more so this is the general. You can solve for the exact numbers that you need, but I want to show you how you plug it in because I think that that's really valuable. Okay, so I'm
Gary Keller. Wait, I have an answer for Courtney.
Okay, good.
Gary Keller had eight buckets and asked them about their finance. So the $150,000 GCI bucket, the average home 49%. So it was 13% cost of sale and 38% expenses. $57,000 is what they spent. That's spent 11 grand on salaries.
Yeah.
So
six.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, maybe
let's just move forward, assuming that we are assuming this expense includes taxes, just for the sake of this conversation, so you guys can feel comfortable that this is solving for your take home. Strategic. You could also say, like, if you own investment properties that you're going to cost seg and hopefully not, you're going to defer your tax. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make up our business model. Okay, how many listings we want to do versus how many buyers. You could throw leases on here. much. So I'm going to say I want to be 75% listing heavy and 25% buyer focused. Here, average commission per unit. Okay, this is going to be that $12,000 number. What, and we'll do 12,000 here as well. Okay, so just some numbers there, and we can tweak these to be a little bit more. Continue. Now, here's
that.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was basically our first step that we did. The computers just breaking it out a little bit better, but we are being very generic in ours.
Okay.
So now we're on a conversion rate.
Conversion useful for then deciding, all right, what activities do I need to take in order to achieve my goals? All right. Now you can come in and done this. You're not going to know what your conversion rates are. When I say conversion rates, is that right? Like if Courtney sat down with a buyer, what is the likelihood that she gets into signed agreement? Is it 75% of the time she gets into agreement? Is it 90% of the time? Right. So I just recommend using the industry standards for now. And then obviously, yeah. So we'll just press continue. And then right here is really cool. And this should, sorry, 1 second.
Can you change that?
Yeah, hang on.
So as he's doing that, so our conversion ratios, we just took to close to agreement of 75% and agreement to appointment. So basically thinking it backwards, if you go on an appointment, your agreement signed. 3 out of 4. That's actually what they say. The 3 out of 4 buyers or sellers meet with the agent they meet with. So real easy there. Agreement to close being 75%. So 30 closed divided by 75%. So it should be a bigger number. Yeah. So 40. Is that real? Or did you just make that up in your math? 40. I believed you could do it in your head. Okay, so we need 40 agreements signed to make, and then probably pocket 250. So if we do that same thing, the 40 agreements divided by 75% for appointments, 53. See so 54 appointments in 1 year with these conversion ratios, you pocket $250,000.
An appointment a week, right? No, like that. I think that gives me a lot more purpose, because when I get to the office, I'm like, all right, I'm going to connect with people, have great conversations, but I know an appointment to stay on top of my goals, right? That gives you a lot more clarity in your business rather than just, again, who's looking to buy?
Is that at 75% conversion? That's not realistic for me right now.
Why?
Where are you falling short? Like, is it appointment to agreement or agreement to close?
Oh, it's
Appointment to agreement. Yeah. So yeah,
I read an article this morning. Double your income by increasing 3 numbers by 25%. His 3 numbers, he said that it's 25% better conversion ratio here, and then a 25% bigger income. He wasn't talking about real commission, but yeah, I thought that was so interesting that 3 numbers just barely the income, and it's because of this whole funnel thing. And so if I were like looking at your business like a coach, hitting this, that's where I would focus. Something is going wrong. Either one, you're meeting with the wrong people, so they right? So this might be some pre-qualification that you need to do beforehand, or it's going to be your them to want to sign the agreement to ultimately close.
So you could just continue to go on more appointments, right? pre-skill set.
Yeah, so let's do that. Let's say you're at a 50%. 4 appointments. You need to go on 60.
Yeah.
How's my head math?
40 divided by 50, yeah.
Is your head math?
40 divided by 50.
Oh, is it 80?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh. Look at me not knowing. Did that turn into an 8? So when you break this down, like if you got better from a 50 version on appointments, you literally have, what is that, 26 less appointments you need to get. Amount of appointments.
Yeah.
We went from doing about 1 a week to 1.5. So I just said that if our appointment to agreement instead of 75% is 50%.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You would hope so. Certainly.
Hopefully you get better.
Yeah. And that's I think that at least from my business and a lot of the agents that I work with, our numbers are quite a bit better than that. If I'm sitting down with people who invest, I feel pretty confident that if I get the opportunity, that they will sign a contract, right? So I think that a lot of agents would say, yeah, if you can go on an appointment a week, you're gonna have a great business. I think that's a very safe goal. If you're just gonna take what's really cool.
Wait, I wanted to show a shortcut first.
Yeah.
What's 75% times 75%? 56. Look at my head math.
625.
Yeah, 56. If you are a 50% closed to appointment, 5, I promise. So my math that I do in my mind, these 75%, I'm about 50% closed to appointment. So if I want to close 30 transactions, I double. I mean, it's a little bit off because it's rounding, but it's rounding in my benefit to.
Yeah.
So that's how I can do this very fast for people because I'm like, oh, what's your goal? That by 2, you need to go on 60 appointments.
Yeah.
You could even work this all the way. Like, how many weeks are you going to actually work? Let's be honest. We're not going to work the last 2 weeks of the year. We got 3 because of other parties. We're going to take the whole week of Thanksgiving off because might as well. Do at least 3 weeks in the summer. You're going to do to get out so you can actually breathe. You got to reset your lungs from the inversion. So we already took 8 normal people do live. Yeah. Well, so rather than like 54 sounds like about, I just said we're doing 44 weeks of work. Let's be honest, you're going to have a couple weeks where you're like, so maybe 40. So if you're at the 50, you have to do, if 50%, you have to do 2 to really hit your goal.
It just seems like a lot. Like there's 5 working days.
Especially when you think a buyer and a seller, you combine those 2, that's 2 appointments.
Yeah.
So how you get there is the lead generation model. Yeah. Do you guys know the 4 models? Because they all kind of overlap. So it's the economic model, which is where we kind of start here. Generation model, which is how do you get the leads to get into this funnel? There's a lot what we were talking about of the expenses and things like that. And then the last one is the organization model, which is who do you need to be able to achieve that?
Yeah.
Because so red sign they do the same idea, it's just on steroids because they have an average commission, but the other thing that they closings per agent. So we look at all of the hunter and everyone else on the team and say, okay, on average transactions, let's call it 20 for easier math. If Red Sign wants to close 400 transactions and each agent is, then we need 20 agents. Is that math? So that are all closing 20 transactions, so we hit our 400 goal. And then they can think, who would to cover or help out 20 agents that are all closing 20 transactions? Do we need someone that generates transaction coordinators? Do we need assistants? Do we need coaches? Like, who are the people around that? But they are doing it.
Yeah.
So the question is, with 10 minutes left, what become so that starting January 1st, you can hit your 1 or 2? What do you need to start ramping up now?
Lead generation.
See, that we need to work on the top of the funnel. Yes.
I don't even know.
Oh yeah, you do. And if you don't, we can, and then if you don't, then we solve for that. If you don't, then we do lead generation strategies that then help you. So then we will go do farming, or we will do door knocking, or we will go to events. Gotten, how many leads has Lucas gotten from door knocking?
I know he listed a property.
100 leads from a few months of door knocking. Like,
that's like consistent every day. We're not like 8.
Just quick question. How many bills have you spent on?
That's not about you. Listen, here's the reality though. If you don't want to door knock, don't proponent of doing what you love in your business. So let's find the strategies that work for you, right? I'm going to really quickly show you now. My getting pulled all over the place. So for some reason that these numbers aren't showing correctly, but your account should show in real time the metrics you just have. So it'll actually kick out the amount of leads. And then as you manage people in command, and I'll teach you, I can sit down and we can go over to make sure you do it. It's really not that hard, but just and your opportunities, which if this sounds like a different language, that's okay. It'll actually update this in real time. So throughout the year, and it's really cool. Just kind of a plug there.
Reports.
Yep, reports and then goals. However, these all like when it goes to appointment set, cat, agreement, under contract, that's all managed through an opportunity, which makes, and I have a full breakdown of how to do this.
Now, where a lot of people fall short with, if they get this defined 54 number, they write it on their vision board and put a little house, something like that, then they don't keep these two conversion ratios. So sometime information on how you're doing with the rest of the pipeline is very helpful, because if we wake a 50% appointment to close, we're like at 25%.
Yeah.
Well, then we know we need to increase the number of appointments, the conversion ratios.
Yeah.
And we have actionable items of something that we can do. Like with Courtney, it's a little bit less than that. And so we can say, great, are you going to get better or are you going to do more?
Yeah.
And by get better, it might be meet with better people, or it might be you need to do better. But if you don't know like give yourself a diagnosis. It's like going to the doctor and they don't weigh you and do your blood pressure and you just say, I maybe try eating better. And then they send you off. Like you can't diagnose it without some of the information. Yeah. So for at least like 5 minutes a week and update some of your numbers, it will help you know where.
So if I was gonna task you guys with one thing to do, I'd get transactions you need to close to make the money you want to make. Okay, so that, and most agents know that number. They know how much they want to make. Like, and then after I knew how much I wanted to make and how many transactions I needed to close, really the only number that if you're gonna, in my opinion, is the appointments. Okay, because you should be showing up to your clients at a high enough level that you feel certain that if that is going to result in a transaction. Things are going to happen, but obviously we're going to show up the highest level for our client. Agreed with Cody, who's our director of operations. Is that his official title?
Sales.
Director of sales. Like super particular on is how many appointments am I going on? Okay. So that's the number that if you're going to track anything, you need to be tracked. Because if you're not meeting with people, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to even sell people property. Okay.
You each need, did you do the math where I was doing math up here?
Yeah, and I'm curious too. Here's the best part too, is like we have visit my numbers. All right, how many more appointments do I need to go on to finish out this year and also start my next year? Because like Cameron mentioned, is really going to depend on some of the efforts you put in right now. Like truly, if you want to hit the goals for next year, you got to start.
The team in Houston, the Lance Loken team, they start planning their next year in April.
Yeah.
So they are, what is that, 4 months in and getting ready.
So that's cool.
30.
30 appointments.
30. It's not bad.
Factored in the commission split, stuff like that. So
yeah, and we can sit down for sure.
Easy to give an overview of how to factor in the commission split. So like you guys who are on teams, when you're figuring out by like.
Yeah, I would just change this, the commission. So if the average commission is 12 grand, and it's just 6. Yeah.
Yeah. And what you can do on this spreadsheet is if you come in here and change average agent percentage per closing, you'll notice that as a solo agent, so the proctors, okay, good. With a cost of sales at 18,000, which is your cap, right? If I was a solo agent, or sorry, on a team, which this is how my actual this to 50%, okay?
Or if you kept 60%, it would be 60. It's what you on this. So if you got 60 and Red Sign got 40, you would put 60 here, right?
Yeah. This is
what
so
you
like
keep.
I'm keeping 61, and then I would also change this cost of sales because I'm on team.
Your cap difference.
If you're on a team, you're on a half cap. So it's 15,000 to the brokerage. So you pay 7,500 to the brokerage. Either way, you have to pay $3,000. Whether you're on
I'm pretty sure it is it.
So it's 10,500.
10,500.
10,500. Yeah.
Cameron is his own model.
Cameron's everything.
Yeah. I am vague. I'm on Red Sign team, and technically I am the rainmaker for the production team, productivity coaching. So
yeah, that's probably how. And I'm going to shoot that up to 3%. So that's probably what I would do, Courtney. Something like that. That factors in everything.
And that even has a transaction coordination fee of $399.
So I'm assuming I'm paying that, which I almost never do. I have that on.
MREA has its client
Yeah.
like 95% of the time.
The team doesn't cover that.
No. And then you can also factor in for taxes. So I really do think that this spreadsheet hopefully should get you that number. So then you can just focus on appointments, which is really what I would care the most about for you. Cool.
Takeaways. What are you going to go do? Get appointments.
Get appointments.
The other way that you can think about this is Shoni actually told Kevin Helps about this. He looked the one in between this, the under contracts, like how many under contracts do you need? What percentage of your under contracts actually close? High.
Yeah.
And Shoni said, great, like let's just say that it's 26. So he's like, okay, every 2 under contract. No, 26. Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So great, you got an under contract, like great, do whatever. I don't care. But 2 weeks from that under contract, you have to get another one. And so it's just a table, like, oh, I got one under contract. I need to get another one in 2 weeks. Or I just got 2. Now I have 4 weeks. So however you want to look through that.
Yeah. I think that's really cool because then if you want to step away from the business, it's like, all right, I need to train an agent. If I'm going to pay to train an agent to do that twice, right?
Yep.
And then you can run your business like that. Yep.
So these all kind of reinforce each other and they overlap a whole bunch.
Okay. So
Nice.
yeah, of course. Yeah, you guys are welcome. And then yeah, team meeting in 30 minutes.